Welcome to Reverse Sweeps Review Show, presented by USAA Insurance. I'm your host, Katie Bedford, joined by Enable and Pacman. Back together now that the major is done, and I'm not surprised, but I kind of thought we might have another champion that wasn't FaZe. What do you guys think?
If you had asked me going into it, I think I would have leaned FaZe, but then the only other option I really would have went with was Toronto.
Yeah.
So it didn't really shock me.
I'll tell you what, in my pick'ems, I had NYSL winning. I thought they were going to come out hot, especially with how good their hardpoint looked. I mean, 2 hardpoints in a series, if you're undefeated, you're going to be able to steal another one.
Yeah.
And I mean, they beat FaZe in the winners finals. So I wasn't surprised because FaZe looks great, especially since getting Tupac and really getting their S&D back to what it was before. But I kind of did want a different winner. You know, just spice it up a little bit. Spice it up a
Give
little
us
bit.
something new. But guys, if you want to know how we got to FaZe being our winners, well, it was pretty much a story of a major with 3 O's and 3 1s. So that's all we had on the first day. Teams like Paris, Seattle, Dallas, and Thieves losing in their opening matches. London getting a nice 3-0 against Minnesota on day 2. But really the first game 5 we saw, the first crazy game, was Atlanta FaZe and Toronto in winners round 2. And that was where FaZe knocked Toronto down into losers. And we didn't see another game 5 until FaZe again, where they lost to Subliners in the winners final. And then of course, Sunday, crazy matches, Optic, Toronto, Subliners, FaZe, your final 4 on Sunday. But let's talk a little bit about FaZe. We've already touched on them and how good they are, but they have been in 10 out of the 12 last grand finals.
That's phenomenal. I mean,
10 out of 12.
That's like,
they just have a crazy core. So Simp, Abizi, those are the ones that get talked about all the time, but Celium too. Kid's nuts. Like every single gunfight he's going into, he's doing the most ridiculous movement on the map. I don't know. Just that core that they have is so solid, and 10 out of 12 proves it. I think this is probably an unprecedented run. Maybe Crim6 has something like it, but that's GOAT.
That's what I was going to
status.
say, yeah. It reminds me of like Complexity back in the day. And I mean, like you said, all the players on their team are so good, but not only are they unbelievably talented, their team just works together with RCs. I mean, they were even great with Major Maniac last year, but it's just something about RCs that he brings to the team. I don't know if they will like not ever be in a finals this year. I really don't. It seems even
this
if they're
year,
playing,
it doesn't feel like they won't.
No.
I feel like stage 2 would be maybe the time. No, not even. They've been so good the whole time. It actually it shocked me that they
and
lost.
even when it was rough, they regained in the next stage, and then go figure they
and
win.
it's like, what is rough for them even?
Yeah.
It wasn't really that rough.
Rough is second
it was
place.
rough
Yeah.
for them, but it wasn't really rough.
The last time that we've seen that is probably like Optic in AW, where they were in like damn near every final.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't matter how good or bad they played during that weekend, you still knew that they were going to be there. And I feel like right now, that's where we're at with FaZe. Like I'm not ever going into a tournament and I'm like, I think FaZe is going to get top 4 or like top 6. Like I just am assuming they will be in the finals. I don't know if they're going to win, but they'll be there.
It's just because every single individual match they go into, I'm picking them. Like every single time against every single opponent, I'm like, you know what? FaZe probably gonna take this. And when they lose, it's super close. They don't ever get. When's the last time they got?
They haven't lost.
They haven't been beat down by anyone. Like they've not been swept.
They've only lost in game 5, I'm pretty sure. I don't
Right,
think they've ever been 3-1.
Have they been 3-1?
No.
You know what I mean? They don't just get
they
beat.
have like the most sweeps in the league. They're like have how many 8 or 9 sweeps of teams?
It's something,
like
it's something
that.
crazy. They're just too. They're literally too good.
Well, no, and on top of that, so stage 3, some of their stats, 9 and 9 in hard points, so kind of going even there. It was a little rough, a little decent depending on the maps, but their S&D was really the big turnaround, right? They were like 4 and something in stage 2. They really struggled with S&D. That was the major reason why they lost to Toronto in the grand final, and then they turn it into 12 and 6 in S&D for stage 3 and 9 and 2 in control.
I think you have to give credit to Pac. I mean, I said this before. FaZe, obviously the players, they're all unbelievably talented when it comes to S&D, right?
Right.
But I feel like the biggest factor in being a good S&D player is your like mid-map adjustments, your on-the-fly situational awareness. That's what really makes the S&D player stand out. But when you add someone like Tupac as a coach, analyst, you just become more structured overall. Like FaZe they know what they're gonna do in those situations when the round breaks down. But knowing when you go into it, like we have set strats. We have 3 set A plant, like post-plant setups.
Here's our retakes.
Yes.
Here's our Bs.
So it just makes everything more smooth. You don't have to really over-communicate it. And I think that showed. Like, they just looked a lot more structured on every single map. And I mean, they went 12
Miami,
and 6.
though. Miami was.
I mean, you can't even see anything on Miami, so we're just gonna, you know what I'm saying?
They
But
made a big dark map where you can see like half a lane. Anyways.
Question
No,
though,
but
do you guys think, maybe on that note, do you think that specialists, whether it's for S&D or maybe the third game mode, are going to become more prevalent based off what happens with FaZe and Tupac?
do you mean like specialist coaches?
Yes. Like, do you think teams are going to look at that and think it's worth it, or do you think it's kind of still going to be a rarity?
It's tough. I think it's going to be a rarity because FaZe is in such a weird spot where they have the best team and that organization is doing everything possible to make sure that they're going to win, right? Like, they're in the spot to win, so let's push them over the edge, that little bump that they need. Because do I think that they could win without Tupac? I do, obviously. But he's helping them get along, right? And you give them to, say, Seattle. What's that gonna do? Like, it's still Seattle. They're still gonna suck. There's no reason to do that. And the only mode that you'd ever do that in is S&D. Control or whatever third game mode we go with. There's no one that can just push you over the edge with a little bit of coaching. Hardpoint, the players know it better than anyone else. No coach can really help them with that. They're the ones playing it over and over and over. They can like show you little tendency you're doing wrong, over challenging here, but at the end of the day, you are the ones figuring that out. You're the one screaming it all day. S&D, maybe, but even then I still see it as a rarity.
to your point, Katie, too, there's a couple of things I want to touch on. First, like you said, I think you have to give credit to FaZe, to Crowder, and just the whole org because they've already basically been the best team, right? They showed some weakness and they instantly made improvements. They hired Pac. They wanted to get everything, in order. You don't see other orgs really capitalize on that. Like the fact there's other teams that actually really need someone like Tupac or an S&D analyst. Like John said, I think it'll only be an S&D. But on the other side of that, the players on FaZe, they're so good, but they're like one of the few teams that you could hire someone as, an S&D coach, and they would actually listen and like really respect what that person's saying. I mean, there's teams out there, I feel
that's a big part of it. Are they going to listen to what someone's trying to tell them?
Yeah, they have to buy into it.
Yeah.
And how most players are, they all think that they're
egos.
So I think it goes both ways. Pac obviously helped them a lot, but you have to give credit to FaZe and the players for really just buying into it. Because I talked to Crowder, and he said, like, Pac runs, like, when they scrim S&D, Chris is like, hey, I'm out, this is your team. You know what I'm saying? So just that level of trust, it shows that it could help, and they've improved big time in it. Because they looked pretty bad in stage 2 in S&D.
They looked really bad. They looked really bad.
Rough.
And it's weird, they went from the best to being downright bad to being the best at it again.
Yeah.
Especially with, so it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I think to that point, teams kind of getting bad, getting better. Like Subliners, you got to give them credit because their Major 2 performance was horrible. They didn't win a map and they got O2'd out of the whole thing. And then they come back, they get all the way to the grand final through the winners, which might be a disadvantage depending on how you look at it. But Subliners with Hydra, another European talent coming in looking great, and they made it all the way to the grand final. Pacman, that was your prediction from winners, and you were right.
It's just
you were right. You were right too, Enable. Both their predictions were right, and I was wrong. I'll put that out there now.
That ain't happen.
but it's just when I looked at them and I watched them play beforehand, they just look super strong in the hard points. And like you said, when you look that strong in the hard points, you gotta eke by some of these other maps, and that's what they did literally to get through the winners finals.
You get a 6-5, or you get streaks in control, and it's
exactly.
over.
Just something needs to go your way, and their hard points stayed strong throughout, and I was happy with their performance overall. Really, they just they fell a little bit short, and it's definitely to what you were saying, definitely disadvantage to go through winners. Like, I don't think there's any argument about it.
You start Sunday cold, you don't have a map
avoid the losers finals
up.
match. That's it. But
if the team that wins, it's like you feeling good.
No, but I mean, you look at New York, they were 12-2 in hardpoint. They were on an 11 spree, I think, before FaZe, handed them a loss. They were 8-5 in S&D, but they were 2-7 in control. That's bad.
It's definitely something they need to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always the toughest thing because they did look so good in hardpoint. And their S&D was good as well. But you know how it is when there's one game mode that your team is not, excelling at, and you really focus on it. Sometimes the modes that you are really good at become your weak mode. And so They just need to find a good balance because I think Hydra, we've been talking about him for a while now. He's a generational talent. He's completely transformed this team. Him and Asim,
He's really good.
him and Asim on that sub duo,
Look
obviously.
at what they did to Simp and Abizi, though. They were like 12 and 22 or something at some point.
They can compete
they annihilated
with
them.
Simp and Abizi, with the Cammy Kleenex or Bance Kleenex duo. They have a bright future. They just need to figure out control, and I think that'll come over time. You know, if there's one mode that you're bad at, I'm taking control out of the other two.
Yeah.
Or, like it's easy. You just camp a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, if that's the problem, you're right. It's
Wait for
probably
your teammates
the
on
best
the
problem to
breaks.
have.
stack a point.
Yeah.
You know,
Stack a damn point and
it's a
you're
lot
good.
simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly true. And what else is true, guys? And a quick reminder, Reverse Sweep is presented by USAA Insurance. They make it easy to insure your stuff like rigs and gear, and they have your back. Eligibility restrictions apply. Insurance provided by United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas. Now, guys, I also want to talk about Optic. We've gone through FaZe, we've gone through Subliners. Optic, they got 4th. They managed to make a loser's run all the way to loser's round 5, which Enable predicted they would get eliminated there.
I'm too nice with it.
You were both
Good
right
call.
again, but let's actually peel it back and look at it. How good was the losers run? They did have a great series against Toronto. Where do you really see them at based off their performance at the major?
I mean, I think they're probably 4th, 5th best team in the game right now. That's where I'd have them. They looked good. I don't want to discredit them because I thought they personally were going to lose to Empire going into it. But I thought if they kind of gained some confidence and momentum, they can make a decent run. But they looked really good. And yeah, they didn't play the best competition. I think the only top team that they played in the major, you could say, is Toronto, which they took the distance. And they could have won that series. But you got to play who's in front of you. And I thought that this was probably their best Call of Duty they played as a team so far in Cold War. So I'm surprised, but then again, I'm not. It's like they're so talented. You just got to kind of put it together. And it seemed like they're maybe starting to. Maybe they're on the right track now.
That's the thing. I don't want to overreact. I try not to overreact too negatively or positively. So their road was just it was easy. But after the LAG match, they annihilated their road. So, right, you can't do anything besides play who's put in front of you. And they played them and they beat them down.
Yeah.
And that Florida win was pretty dominant and made me happy to watch. And then I was like, all right, now we're going to see how far they've come because they're playing Toronto. Toronto's going to win this match. Let's just see how easily Toronto wins this match. That was damn close. Like, Optic should have won that. So that gives me hope for the future. Dashy played really well. Seth started stepping it up. I'm a little bit torn with them because I've seen them do this before where they hit this form where they look really good. They did it in stage 1 and they did it again just over the course of this weekend, but then it just disappears. They're like kind of like how I think about Florida, where when they hit their form, they're disgusting. They have so much talent.
Yeah.
They have top to bottom, every single player is disgusting. But then they have these consistency problems. This weekend, they had a lot of teamwork. They showed a lot of teamwork. They weren't over-challenging. They were pushing together. So it made it look phenomenal. And then that's why they were able to battle Toronto like they did. They beat them in both hard points. That's not something that anyone expected, even though Optic has all that talent. Toronto's teamwork usually shines and they get them through those moments. But Optic did that thing, and then they just went out in a harsh way again. That's just the only way they go out. But the thing is,
They go out with a bang,
here's
to be fair.
the thing: the negative side of me thinks the reason that we say Optic is 4th or 5th or whatever is because after the clear top 3 teams,
It's pretty close.
everyone else is like you
don't know.
They're all trending this way. They're all going down this way. We could talk like you'll hear it on the power ranking show, but it's just. That's why I have them at 4th. Do I feel like they're that great? I don't.
The thing for me, because I think you're right, is I do want to give them credit. I thought that their teamwork looked very good. But then again, every team that they beat in the major, they're just better than talent-wise, and you saw Dashy had like a 1.4 or something in the major. I don't know if he can consistently do that. That is insane.
No one can consistently do that.
And so I don't know, it's like how do they look maybe if he only had a 1.0 or 1.1, but he played phenomenal. So it's just like, it's so hard to gauge because they do look better, but like you said, they didn't play anyone that great besides Toronto. And they could have won, but
I mean,
oh yeah, they could have won that. That's what gave me hope was that they played them so close.
Yeah, they played them really close, and I think something that stood out to me was that in Gorillas, Dallas, Florida, and I think in Toronto, maybe not in Toronto, but at least 3 times, they finally won a round 11 S&D and clutched it. They were 0-5 in their round 11s going into the major, and then you do it 3 times in a row in that losers bracket run. I think also kind of gave them a lot of that confidence back. And we see how crazy clutch moments like that, especially Dashy, his 1v4, things like that, can kind of smooth over any issues with a team. But it could also be a Band-Aid, which is a concern for me. But it was good to see them finally clutching up on those moments when they just hadn't been able to until then.
And then all of them except for that last one where they played it I think they played that whole map technically better than Toronto, but they just kept making mistake after mistake. And then last round...
Well, and Envoy, the amount of kills he got off flanks and the rounds he won off that...
Yeah, they should have won that map.
They should have won the map.
It's no surprise though. Optic's a team when they get some momentum on their side, they are very tough to beat because of the players they have. You know, and they look like they were playing with confidence. This is the first time that they had confidence in their gameplay in a while.
Yeah.
And I was getting cooked in my Twitter mentions, you know, because people were, you know, 14T, whatever. Look at Optic go.
Yeah, that was tough. Though.
But Optic hasn't looked like that in a while, in a very long time in this game. So I hope that they can keep it up because I would love to see another top team really compete with FaZe, Toronto, and NYSL. It would make things way more interesting. But at the same time, it's like, is it just here one weekend and gone the next? You know, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, what about Dallas? Are they going to be gone the next
weekend? They got to make a team change, Katie.
Whatever that is not it.
It's not. That's why before this, when they beat the Rocket going in, I was so surprised. Because this is the Dallas I actually expected to see. They're just not that good in their current form. They're just not. Who'd they play? They played, Atlanta, tough. And then
you're not winning that.
Optic ended up getting 4th, tough. But at the same time, Dallas is supposed to be a team that could beat Atlanta.
Yeah.
Dallas is supposed to be a team that's definitely better than Optic. Like Dallas, they're just not it. They need to make at least one change. And now I'm at the point where I'm not really sure this is just like fellow. It's not a fellow thing.
No, not at all.
No, I think he gets unnecessary blame in that.
It's just that he's the one that's coming onto a team that is a team of
put
champions.
In a bad
he's
position.
Put in a tough spot. Pretty lose-lose.
He's a scapegoat. The team, I still don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me why you bench and then release Hugh to go to another team with like no plan. Like they did nothing against Fellow, but there's no shot in hell that they were like, Fellow for Hugh, that's it, done deal. Like they didn't even give Fellow time and keep Hugh on the bench.
You know, bench midweek. He didn't even get to practice.
And then you don't even get a player in return. Like I just don't understand what it didn't make any sense to me. And right now it could be a hot take. I don't think they have enough talent to really compete and be a contender right now. I think the only player on their team who has been consistently playing well is Shotzi. You know, and so Fellow's going to be the scapegoat. He's playing okay for the situation he's in. You got to look at Krim and at Illy. I mean, they have not been performing too hot. So I think multiple team changes need to happen if they want a chance to actually get a championship.
I mean, you're not wrong. And Dallas made the most questionable move along with their counterparts in it, which would be LAT. But Dallas's end is even more questionable because they got nothing back.
Nothing. They got a bag, but...
Some cash? Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense how, even if you don't want a player, I thought maybe they would have went for Slasher or TJ. You can use it as trade bait for somebody. Like, you literally just let Hugh go for some cash. But, they don't need it. You know
and then, this was such an obvious move to be, contentious. Right when it happened, the whole community is like, huh?
Everyone was
right, and then so you're left to believe that they have a plan.
They thought it was April Fool's.
Yeah, nah,
teams were tweeting. They're like, wait, it's not April anymore.
I just don't understand why teams do that. Not even Empire. Why would you make a move, such a blockbuster move like that, dropping a generational talent with no plan? Like that's something that you do when 100% everything else is set in stone. Yeah. I don't know, maybe their options fell through. I'm assuming that has to be the reason. But
you hope at least.
You wait until you know for
you sign,
sure.
You sign first. I feel like when you do something like that. When you do something that big, your move's already done. Not fall.
Yeah.
Falling through is not even an option. You're ready. You gotta play this one match out with Fellow.
Yeah, then you're good.
No offense to Fellow, and then you move forward with whatever team you think is gonna be your championship team moving forward. And they just didn't do that. They played the entire stage like that. Kind of weird.
It's gonna be interesting because they need to make a change. But
I think we all agree, change something because whatever that is. That's gotta go.
That ain't it.
Yeah. It's time for the most clutch moments of the week with Got You Covered, presented by USAA Insurance. Level up your gear protection with USAA Insurance. Hypest moments, biggest moment for you, was there anything that stuck out to you that was kind of that play, that moment in this major, whether from the grand final or something else? Something that really stood out to you?
I mean, I'm going to go with the winners finals, game 5, round 11. The way it just like everything was trade after trade back and forth.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to like the two superstar, Simp and Hydra. And
That had me on the edge of my seat.
yeah, that one actually
was
had
good.
me on the edge of my seat too. Like I was actually like, oh shit.
Well, because you got whispered, is this the new Simp, whatever, and
It's like, oh shit. And he tagged him up and Slim slides away. I'm like, oh shit. But I was like, he's gonna slide back. He has to slide back.
I thought I know.
And he slid back and then he got to the bomb. I'm like, plant the bomb, plant the fucking bomb. And he doesn't plant the bomb.
well, I assume his play. I guess he must have assumed Hydra was just gonna chow at him because he knew he had to play the bomb.
Yeah, it was
No,
good,
there's
good ice by Hydra.
It was
to
good ice
not
because a
do
lot
it.
of players would like he has to plant so you push him.
I would have sprinted
But
over there and he would have been on the head.
The reason why you do that, is because you don't want to fight the fair 1v1. So you
Yeah.
push him when he's planting the bomb, so you kill him when he's planting the bomb.
But
So that's
Hydra
what-
just waited and it
But
worked.
Hydra said, "I'm ready for the smoke, and I'm gonna wait for you
Yeah.
to plant the bomb, and then we'll fight the 1v1."
We'll see if you got the balls to do it.
Yeah.
And,
And
he did it.
Simple's like, "Nah, no one fights me fair. They're gonna rush.
But who
rush
knows? Maybe that ended up being better for FaZe in the long run because it sent him down to a losers final.
Me. But that was
You're not wrong. For me,
You always gotta get a jab in, Ian.
I think it's the finals, the control, the checkmate control when it came down to that last round. And it was, who was it? It was Seam versus, it was basically 1v1 to capture the point. That was the most hype, clutchest moment for me because if NYSL win that round, win that game, I think we go to distance and we go to game 9.
It ties it up.
Yeah, because it would have been 3-3.
3-3, yeah.
Even if FaZe win that S&D, you gotta feel like NYSL's a favorite in that next hard point.
And then it's
Nah,
Express
I get
S&D.
that. Because it kind of took the air out of the series. You're like, oh, now it's over. You can
And
see
it was
like,
Arcides again. He had so many clutch moments. The whole major, it was like they just kept feeding him clutch moments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could, but
No, I mean, really though, like he always seemed, whether it was S&D, hard point, he always did something crazy.
Phenomenal.
No, and I think what I like about that too is that the reaction from FaZe, their cameras, was when I was like, oh no, because when Clay starts to lose full, it's over. Compounded by the fact that FaZe were losing their minds, I was like, that's a scary dynamic to have if you're Subliners suddenly. And then getting blown out, of course, they win the hard point, getting blown out in the raid. I agree. I think that moment was kind of the swing.
I think that was
That series was for sure the
What
swing.
is the quote? The straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means, but I know my mom used to say
It means this.
Yeah, like that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it for NYSL right there. Like they needed to win that control to really have a chance to win the major. So
Well, yeah,
unfortunately,
tough.
they didn't.
Sometimes that's just how it goes. And we did our clutch moments. Let's talk about our MVPs. Most of the time we pick them from the team that won, makes the most sense, but maybe you have someone outside of FaZe. So Enable Pacman, who are your MVPs?
I'll go first.
You gotta start.
Go ahead.
You
Go
can't
ahead.
keep letting Ian
Go
just run
ahead.
this.
Go ahead. He's just
It's
aggressive.
gotta be Arcides from FaZe. He got player of the stage, but we've talked about him before. He wasn't playing too hot the first 2 stages. He wasn't playing bad, but he wasn't playing
For
too
his
hot.
standards,
For his
yeah.
standards. And I feel like stage 3, especially in the major, he completely took over. He looked like the best AR in the game. Didn't matter the game mode. He had so many moments where he just clutched up. So many like takeover games, like double positive. It just looked like he was a level above every other main AR for me, and he's got to be the MVP. Like, I know, how do you choose someone else?
Well, you stole my answer, but it's okay.
To be fair,
That's why I
it's
went
an
first.
easy answer. So
Because it's the truth. It's the truth. So I'm gonna go with whoever signs FaZe's checks and makes plays in the background. Paul, because he's the one that went out and decided to sign Tupac as an SD coach and push them back over the edge to win another championship. Had they not been this good at S&D, they would not have got here. They beat Toronto in 2 Game 5s to end up winning this championship. Obviously, at the final, they ended up winning 5-2. It was a lot easier. Not easy is the wrong word. The series score was more lopsided, but they played a lot of close games to win this major, and they did what they had to do, solidified their S&D. So I got to give whoever that man is.
That's a good answer.
'Cause there's a lot of teams.
I'll give it to you. That was a good answer.
There's a lot of teams out there that don't do what they need to do. They don't take that extra step, and FaZe did it. Props.
I like that. I like
That
that.
was
So
good.
Arcides,
I wasn't thinking that.
Arcides and his boss, Paul.
This is the box.
Oh, God.
You're like in the center of that. You know what I mean? I'm out here.
My answer was still better. But
Jack,
yours
can you
was
comment,
interesting.
please? Can you let us know which one you like more? Are you Team Enable? Are you Team Pacman? Paul versus Arcides?
They're probably like, who the hell is Paul?
Exactly. Because I know.
Paul pays Arcides checks. That's Paul. He's that guy. He pays the bills.
Anyways.
He keeps the electricity on.
He lets the team do their thing, but LVP probably not someone from FaZe, probably not Paul or
Do you want to go
Alec.
first again? Or now you're ready
So
to
yes,
I'll go
Ian,
first. Yeah, I'll go
would
first.
you like to go first
you,
for
Katie.
the LVP, least valuable player?
I got a double whammy.
Okay.
My LVPs are Dallas Empire and Los Angeles Thieves. Ooh, I just the two.
You took 2 whole teams?
Well, no, so here we
That's
go.
exactly what I was going to
You
do.
took 2 whole teams?
That's exactly what I was going to do.
I think at least right now, the move for Hugh has been a lose-lose.
Yeah.
On the side of Empire, we talked about them. It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like they have no plan. They have no idea what they were doing with that. And then on the side of LAT is, I see the vision. Okay, Hugh is an unbelievable talent, and he just raises your potential, raises your ceiling. But LAT was looking so good with TJ. They were starting to get in rhythm with each other, and they looked like a top 3 team. You know, it looked top 3, top 4 team, but they looked like they were in the conversation. Then you pick up Hugh. It hasn't been all roses or all flowers, roses.
I don't think
It's
there's
been pretty
any
damn
flowers.
bad.
They just look shaky. It looks super sloppy.
250 to 14.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't going to say that, Katie, but it just
I
doesn't
was.
look like they have as much teamwork as they did with Tej. But who knows? There is time. Maybe they do reach the point, and there's a reason why they got Kyler's 4 champs.
Maybe it was that, champs vision, not here and now vision.
But right now, it doesn't look good for either team.
Maybe I'm wrong, but that surely didn't help the confidence. Where was the damn honeymoon period?
That-
Where was that at? You don't even
Yeah.
need that because you were a team that was a top 3 team. You're looking good. You're going to the major super strong. I was super excited to see what they're going to do.
I thought they might upset Toronto.
Like, yeah, who knows what they could have done? They were looking really, really strong.
Yeah.
Really strong. They played FaZe super tight in the stage. I
Yeah,
believe they
won
lost
game 5.
3-2 in a really close match with TJ. Switched him out. Started getting body slammed. I don't even know. I've said this before, but from a team that was OGLA that had the best team on paper, why would you make another move on paper? Like, why would you?
Yeah.
Everyone, pretty much all the people there that were involved, other than what? Mud Dog, JCap, Kenny Slasher, TJ, all these people were involved in the team that was really good on paper and was terrible. Then you made another terrible team, and then you finally did all these changes and got a good team, and then you change it up.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
I mean,
It's
I
just
can
so
understand that
stupid.
they just took the risk because it's once in a lifetime, but
Why? For the future, maybe. If that's how they're thinking. I don't even know if that's how they're thinking. I can't speak on it.
I don't know.
For the future. For that time being, they were good. They lost one series. They lost a series to Toronto, who won the tournament, and a series to FaZe.
yeah,
3-2.
the best teams. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost a series to the 2 best teams. They beat everyone else down pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, who knows? I hope they don't let TJ go. I hope they keep him on the bench for the time being, because who knows? If things keep getting worse, maybe Tej comes back in. Maybe they try to move Hugh to another team for a different.
They just dropped a bag on Kyler.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that is kind of far-fetched, but who knows? At least they have the safety net. I know Tej wants to play, so if it comes down to it, he'll drop whatever beef he might have with the team and the management and get back in there. And I think they won't miss a step if they do. But there's the other side of that. We haven't seen the potential that they have with Hugh yet. Maybe
That's true.
Maybe
they could turn up, and I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, maybe in stage 4.
Happens
Maybe it's just a slow start.
once every
The sample
6,
size
7
is
years.
small. I will say
Yeah.
one every 7 years. Come on. It is small though. I mean, they've only played what, 3 series or 4 series with Kyler, official series.
That's true.
So give him a little bit more time. But right now it's lose-lose. That was my
Okay,
MVP.
so he hogged 2 teams.
Nah, I'm hopping on that one. Katie,
yeah,
what's your MVP?
you see how he hopped on the bandwagon?
There's no bandwagon. He went first twice. Katie, what is yours?
Can I pick on an individual for one of the teams?
Of course.
from one of LA Tier Empire. Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I have to go with Illy. Last year, Illy was great for Dallas. A little bit of a slower start for him and Shotzi, but they figured it out and they were great. He's called the S&D Pope, whatever. He's supposed to be their S&D person, and he's supposed to be a force on the map. Maybe he's just not in a role he's comfortable with, but what has he done this year? Whatever was last year, we have not seen this year. And especially, maybe you're struggling in respawns, but at least live up to your name in search, where you're going like 1-7. So I think when I look at things like that, I'm like, Shotzi's doing his thing, but where is Illy in this conversation? Where is what we saw from last year this year?
It's tough because he doesn't look anywhere close to what he did last year. But I think MW, it was like not a Call of Duty game. It was like hide and seek, you know.
It was a
5v5.
very different title.
It was basically 4v4 and then 1v1 playing hide and seek on the map at the same time. So like, I'm not trying to say he was good at a game that doesn't really showcase your Call of Duty abilities.
So maybe a more forgiving game?
I feel like there's
Very
more
different
freedom.
game. Very different game. There was more freedom in that game.
You know, you had a longer leash, I guess. This COD in Cold War seems to be very fundamentally sound compared to the last couple, where teamwork is huge. You know, you really can't make the wrong play, or you're going to get punished. And he's tried the AR, he's tried the sub. He just doesn't look comfortable. But I don't know if maybe he just doesn't feel comfortable on Empire. I don't know if he doesn't feel comfortable in Cold War or on the team playing. We don't know what the team dynamic is like. Obviously, with Hugh being let go, like we don't know the communication. We're not in the scrims. He needs to figure something out because I feel like he might be on the chopping block, which sucks to say because I think he does have a lot of potential, but we're just not seeing it.
I think the role switch just doesn't help either. Like you role switch and then you go on a team you're on a team that instantly has less talent and you're playing a different role, a role that automatically gets less kills and it's tougher to play and it's just, you don't have the same cover that other people might have. It could be tough for you to switch into that after playing with an AR the whole season.
Well,
It's
Illy, when they dropped Hugh, like Illy kind of has to step up and be that second superstar next to Shotzi. And maybe that's just not a role that he can excel at. I think he can be a very, very good player, but maybe he's not meant for like the heavy workload to being that Slayer superstar.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, guys. Illy, can he pick it up? Thieves, Dallas, the LVPs for the guys. Can they pick it up? Because we're halfway through the year. We're going to get into Stage 4 soon. I know we're all super excited about that, and that means that we're done for now. Stage 3 wrapped up, and guys, we'll look forward to talking all about Stage 4 with you when it gets started.